Okay, so you got over your past issues, your traumas, you're no longer miserable. So now you can start helping your family and your friends, your significant other. I mean, after all, I think that's what life is about, at least for me, is all those bonds that you make with people. That's what makes life fun. I'll be discussing the post benefits of growth after you got over your issues. I am Zero, and this is the Stone Cold Truth. First off, I just want to say this, and let me get this very clear because people never listen to me. You can't talk, especially to your family. You can't preach to them when you haven't fully grown yet, when you got over your issues. You gotta grow first. People can sense it in you. That's when you can truly preach. Like I said in the previous video, I said you gotta know the way, go the way, then show the way. That's a quote by Von Miller, by the way. And I'll get to later why you should wait to preach, because there are some consequences if you preach too early. But first, let's start off with the less complicated relationships, and that is friends. You know, the one thing that I see a lot, especially nowadays, is I see friends on social media. They're posting stuff about growth. They're trying to better themselves, motivational stuff. But I feel, at least through my experience, when I tried to go through growth, I didn't know what to do. So at least now I can actually tell people the steps. When it comes to your friends, just hang out with them and just ask how they're doing, how they're really doing. If it seems like they're going through a hard time, or if they're clearly venting on social media, you can talk to them and be like, hey, I know how you feel. Well, to some extent, because everyone has their own different story. But you can tell them that, I tried this, I tried that. If you want, try it out. Or, it's as simple as just hanging out with friends, even though right now we're living in a pandemic. But, just hanging out with friends sometimes. And if they want to open up to you, then they can open up to you. But at the very least, you know that you know what it takes to grow. And that's the important thing. So when the opportunity comes, or if it seems like the person won't take it personally, then yeah, you can talk to them about growth. Because I there was one person that I thought was open-minded. They were kind of venting on social media, and they took it the wrong way. A couple people did. They actually thought that I thought they were crazy. It's not that. It's just I thought they were open-minded, that they might listen. But you know, now it gets a little tricky. Relationships. So, how can going through growth help your relationship? In my opinion, and at least what works for me, what makes a healthy relationship are three things: trust, communication, and at least have one person that's willing to grow. I'm going to use an old friend of mine's example, which works pretty damn well. Let's say you have a trash bag. In this trash bag, you have your issues, which take up a quarter of the bag, and your significant other's issues, which takes up another quarter. Obviously, some people have more issues, but let's just say a quarter and a quarter. Half the bag is already filled up. So it's not going to take long with more arguing, or if you go through more stuff in your life that gives you more issues. Eventually, that bag will get overfilled, and that's when you have a big argument. Like I said, the more issues you have, odds are you'll have more arguments. So, with growth, what helps out a lot is at least your issues will not fill up the bag because you got rid of your issues. The other thing is communication. You see, when you're going through growth and you're self reflecting, you get to know yourself very, very well. You find out what triggers you and what doesn't. So you're always talking to yourself. As crazy as that sounds, but you're your own self therapist. So you know how to communicate very, very well if you have to get rid of all your issues. The same thing applies here. Because you're so good at communicating with yourself about what bothers you, you can communicate respectfully what bothers you in the relationship. And obviously, if you're going through growth, you can understand others a lot better. you can understand your significant other a lot better. After going through growth, I can kind of tell when there's an issue. So I'm able to spot it out a lot easier and talk about it. The thing that helps out, going back to the trash bag example, is the issues. If your partner has issues, but they see you that you grew and that you have no issues, they're going to trust you better. Despite the fact that they do have some trust issues, possibly, they trust you better. They'll be more open to communication because you're open to communication. So instead of the bag overfilling, you might see the bag actually getting less and less. Of course, they still have their issues, so it'll still be there. But like I said, you need to at least have one person willing to grow, because, I mean, if you have two people not trying to grow when they're in a relationship, that's just going to be argument after argument. There really is no saving that relationship if you're trying not to grow. So at least one person has to make some progress. I said earlier that you have to grow because people, they can sense when you've changed. They'll be more open to listening. You see, because I've seen it in my family where, my aunts and uncles, they got issues. They got issues because my grandparents have issues and their parents had issues and nobody wanted to deal with them. So it goes on to the next generation and the next generation. Now my cousins have issues and their kids will most likely have issues. So it just sucks. So I had my aunts and uncles trying to make peace. Apparently, since before I was born, they've always fought physically or just through words. So they always try and make peace, then they fight, peace, fight. They tried it again, and I've seen it in person. It got nowhere. Why? Because nobody grew. It's the same thing in a relationship. If nobody is gonna grow, then the relationship will go to crap. Same thing with your family. Your family's relationship will go to crap if nobody is willing to grow. Of course, unfortunately, some family members are just too stubborn and don't grow. And that's something that we gotta accept. But for the most part, if you wanna help your family, you gotta grow first. You gotta be that example. Be that guiding light. So let me repeat that one more time, because I always tell people, but they never take my advice. Grow first. Then preach once you get over your issues. As much as you want your family to be one, they're not gonna listen when you never grew. That's just the stone cold truth. But let's just say you really, really want to help your family, friends, significant other, or just people. You gotta grow. So how do you grow faster and what doesn't work? I'll explain that on the next one. So yeah, watch that one, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.